Hey, baby, we back.
Ooh, yeah.
I didn't know where that was going at first, but you nailed the second half.
I know.
Yeah.
I got like nervous. I was like, how does this go?
You forgot the 3-count riff of that song.
Whew. All right.
What's up, everybody?
It's Julie and Kathleen with another episode of my favorite episode of today. It is the moment you have all been waiting for.
All of you. Every single one of you. I know it.
We are talking Jane the Virgin.
I have severe anxiety thinking about talking about this. I feel as if I'll never be able to get out how much I love this show. I will not be able to articulate it.
I know. And I think that we're going to listen to this episode when it's all said and done. And then we're going to be like, fuck, we should have brought up this and we should have brought up
I know.
this.
So we're not recapping it. Do not listen to this if you have not seen the show.
It is going to be
give
spoiler
a little
after
pitch.
spoiler after spoiler. I'm going to let Kathleen pitch it. And the reason that I'm saying that is because she pitched it on our quarantine episode, I think it was.
Sure, but I think I'm not going to pitch it as good now that you're putting me on the spot.
Well, I'm sorry, but you did. And then I watched it. So
Okay, and also producer Matt is here.
he's here.
That
Hey.
boy just watched it as well. These two are fresh off the Jane the Virgin boat.
We are. Matt
How many
somehow
times
beat,
have you watched
beats
it?
me.
So, as I've said before, I watched it. The show, like, I think for me, like, some shows come at the perfect time, the most opportune time. And I am kind of mad that nobody told me to watch the show ever. I just so happened to click it. And so the first time around, me and my mom watched every single episode together. So it was like, I live in Philly, she lives at home. I would like come home to watch it. My mom would like text me midday and just be like, can we please watch Jane the Virgin? Can you come home? I'm like, boy, can I? Because I love it. It's so good. And of course, like I watched it. So we finished it on Mother's Day. And then I watched it immediately again. And I crushed it in 3 weeks. Like I needed it. The show is like so heartfelt, and I think I needed it real bad at that exact moment in time. Might have been going through my own little heartbreak at the time.
Maybe.
It was like the only thing that kept me like zen and normal.
Zenraf.
Zenraf. I was Zenraf.
So I do find it really weird that like you of all people didn't know it. And the only reason I say this is you're such a CW girl.
I know.
And this was like the crown jewel of the CW for a while. Like,
Well, it's literally I'm almost positive it's the only CW show that's ever gotten any critical acclaim.
yeah, that's
Like,
probably accurate.
Gina Rodriguez won the Golden Globe for it for season 1, which was like unheard of. Anthony Mendez, the narrator, has been Emmy nominated a bunch of times, but he's never won. And he's incredible. I don't know how he didn't win for this. He like makes the show. There would be no Jane the Virgin without
him.
Yeah. So pitch it. Okay.
Well, why don't you just say what it's about?
Okay. So Jane is a young 20-something, and she's artificially inseminated. She's a virgin, and she's artificially inseminated with one of the main characters, Raph's sperm. But you don't know him, so she gets artificially inseminated. She's now a pregnant virgin, which cues this love triangle for the ages. The best love triangle I've ever seen. But at the core of the show, it's about Jane, who lives with her mom and her abuela. It's like half spoken in Spanish, half in English, which is fucking awesome. But it's really at the core of it, it's just like a family show. It's about mothers and daughters and growing up, and it's like all different kinds of representation I've never seen before on TV. It's really, really incredible, and it's fucking funny.
Yes.
And murdery. I had no idea it was going to be like when Roman gets impaled. I was like, what? Because it's a sweet show.
Yeah.
It's like sweet and funny and goofy, and then it's like heartbreaking, and then people die a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I can't even explain, like, it's like half, like, not even half. It's a lot of like romance, but like a lot of like goofiness, but then some like thriller. Like when someone dies, they always like throw it in at the end. So you're just like, fuck, I gotta see what happens. Like, who the
Right.
fuck just died? Or like the narrator in some of them, like, he'll be like, one of these people will die.
I
and
love
you're
it,
just like,
especially
oh my God.
that specific one, because they really play the like telenovela trope up, where they show like it's like Brady Bunch style, 6 of them. They all like turn and look really hard at the camera, and you're like, who is it gonna be?
Who's dying?
It's someone's gonna die, and they make it so goofy, and it's awesome. It's incredible.
So I started it the end of May, beginning of June. So it took me like a solid 2 months to watch it through.
I think that's a lot of time. There's 100 episodes. I mean, you can
Yeah.
3 weeks is stupid.
But it's okay.
But I was depressed, so I
But
needed it.
I watched like the first 3 episodes. It really only took me the first episode to be like sucked in. I remember I texted you like immediately and was like, "This is so
I was
fucking
so
good."
glad.
Yeah,
Because I never, like, surprisingly enough, I've pitched it and a lot of people have watched it since. And nobody ever takes my recommendations except Matt. Producer Matt is the only human in the world who watches the shows I suggest to him. So thank God.
thank God for.
I have
producer
one good
Matt.
friend. One.
No, it's great. The relationships like between Jane and her mom, Jane and her abuela and Zoe, like, which is her mom, Jane's mom. It's just like they're just like girl power. You just love them so much.
And let us not forget Petra.
Jane
is the best ever.
Yeah.
And I've never, like, all of my favorite characters in television shows are so flawed, so insanely flawed. I think Jane is one of the very few that, even though obviously she's flawed, she's one of the ones where I'm like, wow, I would be her. Like, her life is she's strong and, like, badass, but also so vulnerable, but, like, funny. And I'm just like, I love her so much. I watch her and I'm like, I want to be a better person
because of Jane.
because I'm watching the show.
Yeah.
Well, it's a weird comparison, and it's probably just a comparison because they're both very fresh shows that I've watched, but like, and I guess the CW connection, but like, it's very easy to look at Jane the Virgin and also think of something like Gilmore Girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think where Gilmore Girls is always pitching itself as like, oh, it's this warm blanket, like it's this perfect show when you're sick. At a certain point, it stops being that, and it just becomes like the run-of-the-mill teen drama where every single episode ends on this like stressful cliffhanger, and you're like annoyed at the characters. And it also constantly is trying to pitch like Lorelai and Rory as these two great characters that you want to aspire to be, and look at how great they make everybody's lives. But like when you really analyze it, they're both like very selfish, not great people.
Yeah.
And I feel
Wait
like,
till you get to A Year in the Life.
yeah, but like Jane the Virgin, I think is that warm blanket.
It is.
Like it's and it's the one that has murder in it, but like it's presented in a way where it just feels like, oh, this is home. Like this is safe. Like I feel comfortable here, and it provides characters that actually achieve what people act like Rory and Lorelai actually are, which is just like genuinely good people who make other people's lives better by them being in it.
Wow.
Which is what's great with Petra. Like Petra, if I had to make a list of like top 10 character growths in like TV show history, Petra's in that top 5 at least.
By season 5, when Jane and Petra are in that tent, and Petra's getting like jealous that Jane didn't go to her for things, and it's like, you're my sister. And when Jane finally like yells like, "'Cause I love you" to her, it is like so sweet. I love their friendship because it's like, there's no way. Those two specifically is the epitome of like the difference between love and like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Petra's always like, I don't like you, Jane. Like I don't, but but they love each other. It's like this like deep love, but you don't always have to like the people you love, which is just such a weird concept.
I know. I actually think so. I hated Petra in the beginning. Like I remember texting Kathleen just being like, "Oh my god, she fucking sucks."
I mean, she's evil.
She became my favorite character at the end.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, but I can't fully say that with Rogelio just in the world because I love Rogelio so fucking much. I think he is an incredible actor. Like, every time he's on screen, he commands the screen. He is like the greatest.
And my favorite thing in the entire show is his bromance with Michael.
It's incredible.
Like when they're just like dancing at a nightclub and stuff, like it is so funny, but it's also like, I want that relationship with like someone's dad.
I know. Yeah, that was something I wasn't expecting either. And it's so funny. Like the first scene they become bromance is the one where Michael's doing his impressions, like his Ace Ventura Pet Detective, and it's not. I mean, it's pretty good, but he is just like dying laughing at it. I'm like, these two fucking dorks.
I love that Michael's like not a bad but not a good stand-up comic, and I love that it just keeps getting re-examined throughout the whole show.
You texted me during that part, right, Joel? I am cringing at Michael doing stand-up, and it is bad. It's funny, but so for anyone who doesn't follow these characters, Brett Dyer is hysterical in real life. So I think they were truly just playing off of how stupid and goofy he is, like insanely goofy in real life, and an awesome breakdancer. He breakdances in the show. That's actually him doing it. And there's a scene where Michael runs and backflips off of a wall, and that's him. Brett Dyer did that. That's insane. Because I mean, the show is also, you can't forget all like the magical realism parts where like the animals will talk, things will bloom, their hearts glowing, like things like that. But and it's funny because one of my other favorite things I remember when I was watching with my mom, who was just like taking it very sweetly, like she's not like analyzing it like I am, because I watch a show and I'm like, they take these like 30-second breaks to completely go into a fantasy of them in full costume, fully different set, doing like synchronized swimming or wrestling, like Petra and pregnant ass Jane wrestling, where I'm like, this was 1 minute worth of content and they probably had to shoot for a whole day or whatever it is, like get all set up, makeup for hours. I love that they put that effort in. Another reason why I love this show so much is I think that when I think about my favorite shows, I think about how fun it would be to be on said show, and I've watched so much footage of them, whether it's on their Instagram or YouTube videos or episode 99 where they show them.
You yelled at me when I suggested that I was going to skip that episode.
And I did too. I texted her and I was like, do I have to watch this?
You both did that. And I was like, it's awesome.
Well, we wanted the conclusion of the story.
No, but it's like they love each other in real life. And I know, like, I mean, how could it not be so fun to be Bachelorette Jane or whatever it is? The insane plot lines. I know it'd be so fun to be on the show.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's definitely a good cast. And in that episode, which is episode 99, right before the series ends, you can just see how much like they truly love each other and they're like a family. And I think it's funny, like I can't relate to Jane that much as I guess you can, but like I'm the same as Jane as how she cries at everything. That's like literally me. And it was just funny that like in the show she's like that, and then in that episode she's literally like crying every time she speaks.
I think that episode, like when I was watching it, I was like aware that this was special and unique, but like really hearing them explain. And I only knew that because I had friends when I was in LA who were all from the Latino community that they were talking about this show because it was so unheard of to have such a strong Latin show on television. But like hearing them talk about like bringing all of this heritage and all of this like stuff where like families grew up watching these telenovelas together and like putting it on mainstream TV, like it really does like touch the heart to be like, oh my God, that's crazy to think that like for however many years kids had to go to like a different channel to watch shows that made them feel like they belonged.
Exactly.
Like that's awesome.
Zoe's actress in episode 99 says that. She's like, I didn't have anything like this when I was growing up. The fact that you two were going to skip that episode gives me severe anxiety. Nobody better skip episode 99.
No, I want to clarify.
So well done.
I wasn't going to skip the episode. I wanted to jump to episode 100, see how the story wrapped up, and then jump back to see the behind the scenes.
You should watch it as they intended you to watch it. That's how the Office was too. The Office did the hour before the series finale, which
that was Seinfeld did that too.
Yeah,
they did like
it's the best. I love when they do that.
But see, the Seinfeld one sucked because it was literally just a clip show. Like it was like Jerry just like walks into the apartment, he's like, "Hey, I know it's our last episode, so let's look back at some of our favorite moments over the last 7 years." And then it was just clips.
Yeah, but I still like when they do that.
Well, I liked how Jane the Virgin did it with like the behind the scenes and interviewing the actual actors and hearing them like talk about the like. Yeah. It was a little bit more interesting than just like, here's some of our favorite moments from the show.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Julie texted me and said, "I'm Petra and she's Jane." So I need an explanation on that.
I don't remember why I said that.
You were like, "I'm Jade and you're Petra," just so you know. And I was like, save it for the dance.
Oh my God. First of all, great quote.
Save it for the dance.
Save it for the dance. I want to say that, like, I'm sure Petra was, like, being mean to Jane.
Okay, I have really softened in my old age. I think Julie, she remembers me as a 7th grader, I'm pretty sure.
It's true.
When I was bratty maybe sometimes. But I'm sweet like sugar now.
I wish I remembered why I said that.
It's so funny because let me give you some, this is our episode 99 podcast style. I'm going to tell you some behind the scenes stuff. Julie harasses me in the text message group. Matt, back me up. She harasses me.
I'm pleading the fifth on
She's
this
mean.
one.
This is getting out of hand.
She sasses me to death when all I'm trying to be is nice.
The one time I was actually messing around with Kathleen and she got pissed and I could tell.
Said, okay, back. That's it. I can't because it's stressing me out.
And then she confessed when we got here that she was actually pissed. But now things are better. Don't be mean to me. We're doing fine. All right, maybe I'm Petra.
I would have liked to hear a genuine reason why I was Petra
I know,
because I
but
love Petra.
You made me stop talking.
You said she was being mean to Jane.
So
I
think
don't
that
know.
more accurate would be that Kathleen is Petra and Julie is Anska.
Aneska.
Oh my
Aneska.
God.
My beautiful sister.
What did you say?
I don't know. I was trying to
Anska?
read it
He
on
said
Wiki.
Adele Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem.
No, he missed a whole syllable in there.
I said so.
It's
I was,
Aneshka.
I was
He said-
trying to read it by verbatim how it was spelled, which is Anezka. So it's like Ansga.
Yeah, Anska.
So the one plot hole I think in the entire show, besides the whole thing being absurd, is that Aneska doesn't have the not Petra on her forehead anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's there and then it's not it anymore. And I'm like, that was funny.
I love that tattoo.
Yeah, it's so stupid, and I
It's
love
so
it.
Stupid. I mean, everything about Aneshka is stupid, but it's hilarious.
She's like one of my favorite characters by far.
I really
love
think
her.
the fact that they gave them a triplet at the end just as a gag in the finale, like, yep, there's a third,
Yeah.
a brother. It's like, thank you. I
Yeah.
needed that little gag.
But I like her character. Obviously, it's funny just having the same actress play like her twin sister and talking in this absurd accent.
And like squeaking.
Yeah, but like her storyline's actually really sad. Like
Oh,
it's like
Devastating.
like she just gets like taken advantage all the time and she doesn't know who to trust and then eventually she just dies.
Yeah, when she fakes her own death, and first of all, the kids on the show are incredible too. The two twins were on Parenthood, and I think they have a new show, but I don't watch it, but they are so good. Second Mateo was my favorite. Like the time jump Mateo, who is just like when he's trying on tuxes and like gabbing with Rogelio, and he's always calling him Matalio, which is such a funny gag too because he's so self-absorbed.
Yeah.
But the third Mateo, I was like, I liked the second one better. But I think the second one literally had to go to school or something, so he stopped.
Yeah, I was
acting.
like, why did they keep changing him?
I thought it was a bit. I thought they were doing a bit because every season there was a different Mateo. But then when they kept him for the fifth, I Googled it and they were like,
How to go to school.
had to go to school. Sometimes kids have to go to school.
Yeah. Let's talk about.
Wait, did I finish my thought?
Oh, I don't know.
She fakes her own death. They're at the funeral, but they like spray perfume in Petra's eyes, the kids, by accident, so it looks like she's crying. And when Aneska comes out and she's like, "You're crying for me," I was like, hysterical. This is so funny.
I love how evil the two twins are. too.
Oh
The
my God,
episode
but they're
with her
the
and Jane
best.
is really good episode.
They're
Yeah.
the best. Like
when they
they're
do the
hilarious.
con, they pull that con.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
They're so cute.
Oh, I think I even
too.
texted you. I know your heist loving ass enjoyed this
I
episode
know.
because you're always talking about heists on this
I
podcast.
love it. I love it. It's so good. But wait, we can't go another second without talking about the music. The music of the show is so good. I listen to it before bed. Like the original like love theme. There's the one where Raph is saying "Be brave, Jane," and it's like such this like upbeat, crazy thing. Like when the first time he says "Be brave," which is when at the tennis club or wherever they are. And then there's one, if anyone cares, it's called "Moody Jane," and that's probably my favorite. But then in season 5, they brought a lot of it was this very like Latin guitar sounding
Yeah, the
stuff.
Spanish guitar stuff.
Yes, but in season 5, they introduced this like really sad kind of haunting piano one where it was a lot of when Michael was on the screen because he came back, his memories when Michael's memories come back, and I was like, this song is incredible, and I was really trying to find it and I could not. I don't know how.
Damn.
It's so good. They play it all of season 5.
Let's talk about Michael's story because, well, I'm curious. So I know what team I was in.
Yeah.
I actually don't.
I've been putting this off because this is going
I
to
was
be a
gonna
big
say I
conversation.
don't know what team either one of you was on.
Oh, we're on opposite ends, of course. What do you mean?
Oh.
We're always at odds. I am and forever will be Team Michael.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Team
I will
Michael.
die on this hill.
Team Raph.
Let me just say,
We're
and
here
I so
for Raph.
okay, so I did that poll on my Instagram story, and I was surprised by how many answers I got. I got like 45 votes, and I didn't think, and it seemed like all people who actually watched it because I got a lot of responses too, being like people dying on their respective hill,
Yeah.
and Raph kicked ass. I mean, it was, I don't remember exactly, maybe 70-30,
Yeah.
but I was maybe not even, maybe it was more like 75-25. He really beat Michael's ass. And I never was Team Raph until the end, obviously. But I am, like I said on my Instagram story, Team Jane. But I love Raph too. There's
Yeah,
no
Raph-
issue with Raph.
Raph is fine, but my thing is I always lean towards Team Michael because consistency. Team
Agreed.
Michael was consistently a good guy. Team Raph would go through these crazy ass moods where he'd be like, look, if it was Zen Raph from start to finish,
Agree.
I'd probably be Team Raph because I really like Zen Raph. But like Raph who can't decide what he wants to do, and Raph who gets angry at the slightest little thing, and
Yeah.
Raph that like will just make life decisions without communicating with the person he
Yeah.
supposedly loves.
Yeah, but Jane can't figure out what she wants to do either.
Okay,
No,
well,
she wants to write.
Raph just gets very dark, and like dark is fine if he would have let Jane help ever. And he never did. At the end of season 4, before he tells her that Michael's alive, he knows. And they're in bed. Like, she ends up forcing him to let her sleep over. And then they like it's like really like he's not speaking to her, blah, blah, blah. And then they have sex. And I'm like, that seems like very off, like not normal for this show. Like, I just think that it was like, I don't know. We can cut that out. That was like a very weird thought. I just was like, I just remember both times watching it through thinking, wow, that's like not how I would think Jane would do that. Like, I don't know. I mean, everyone
Is it
has
because
like
they
hate
don't
sex.
really present her as like a very sexual being
They
throughout
kind of
most
do though.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's like he literally won't talk to her. And I kind of liked that she did because it's like if the person you love is going through something, she's going to be there for them. It just seemed like something she would be like, okay, fuck off if you're not going to talk to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, some people express their feelings during that way.
Wasn't there something like tied back to that, I feel like? Like, remember she does walk away and then like, I feel like something like clicked where she like thought of something and then she was like, no, fuck this, and like went back.
I agree.
Something,
I can't remember off the top of my
something like
head.
clicked in her where she was like, no.
Yeah, I think it was just like she was gonna leave and then because he was kicking her out as he does all the time.
Yeah.
Just chugging whiskey and kicking her out. But back to this. Why are you Team Raph?
So I am with somebody that is known for shutting people out when they're angry.
Okay.
So I can relate to Raph
Sure.
in that sense where like I personally can't relate to him, but being with someone that is like that, they need that extra TLC. I feel like he always loved Jane. He was fucked up. Raph had a really fucked up life.
Yeah.
I mean, he's raised by rich people, whatever, but the people that adopted him, because we find out that wasn't his actual parents, they just covered everything up with money. It was like he didn't even know how to be a real person until he met Jane. Like, even in episode 1, we find out that he doesn't even truly love Petra and he wants to leave her, but he like can't. And it's almost like he was so involved with like money, success, that like he needed Jane in my head. And Jane brought out the best Raph. Like them together, like every time they would end up back together, I would just like text Kathleen and be like, oh my God, fucking Team Raph. But I'm not like anti-Team Michael. Like I do get why you are Team Michael.
Sure.
I just think also, and this is just preference, but Raph's more my type. I don't like the dorky guys.
See, I was just going to say, take Jane out of it and let me just compare these two guys. I am a goofball lover.
Yeah.
I love goofballs, and I think Michael is handsome as hell. He's not Raph, which is textbook handsome, but I'm also never going to go for the ripped guy in a short sleeve polo, tight as hell, like a pink polo. I'm just not going to, with like the clean cut. That's just not really my type. But Raph stole her.
Yes.
Michael and Jane were meant to be. And even in episode 99, Jane or Gina says something like, Raph is family to her. But Michael was Michael was like meant to be. You know
Well,
what I
that's
mean?
The episode where Michael gets all those memories back, it to me is like one of the most heartbreaking moments in the entire
Just
show.
anything snow falling, basically, with the original her shooting the gun, like the way they fell in love, they met and they could not stop talking and just completely fell for each other on the first time. And not that, I mean, honestly, Jane is a hopeless romantic. So she kind of did that with Raph too.
Yeah.
She had a gigantic crush on Raph. She loved Adam. You know what I mean? She falls in love with a lot of different people, but
Was
I think
Adam-
Michael was it.
Who was the because I blanked on his name. Who was the big dumb actor?
Fabian.
Dude, I loved him
He
so
did
much.
love him.
Yeah, Fabian was so annoying though. Like,
And then he turned
know.
crazy. I got
Yeah.
upset when he like became crazy and vindictive, but
Yeah.
when he was just like super dumb.
Yeah,
like,
I liked that too.
dude, when he's just like sitting at the table, he's like, I like books too. Like, he's just like, so simple-minded. I loved it.
Yeah.
He was cute, that actor. He looked
He's
familiar.
very cute.
He's in some
I don't-
stuff,
I don't
right?
think I knew him from anything. But I think that Jane the Virgin did the best job at having both of those guys win. Michael won first. He won Jane. She picked him. She chose him. They built this life. It's very short-lived. And there's never been a more devastating death than middle of a season 3 death of a main character is so bold and so brave of them because a lot of people were Team Michael. And then I'm so stupid and I hate myself and I would never do this. But I was mid-season 3 and me and my mom were watching and my head exploded. But I love Brett Dyer and I follow him on Instagram and I saw like this show ended in 2019 and I was watching it at the end of 2019 when season 3 came and I was like, no. I've seen him. He was in season 5. I know it. So I Googled it and I spoiled it for myself that he comes back.
That
And I was like, fuck. So I didn't.
Why would you do that in a show that has so many identical twin brothers?
I know. And I thought maybe that was it. But I was watching and I could. Me and my mom were sobbing so hard. And I was like, the only thing that will make me feel better is knowing he's going to come back. And so I spoiled it for us. I didn't know when. So in the end of season 4, I was waiting and waiting and waiting, obviously. But still an incredible twist.
Totally. I actually think I gasped like out loud. Like I was like, because you find out what the episode ends with.
Season 4 finale ends with her walking through and it's like, and he just turns. It's like do and like that. Fucking
Yeah. No. I was gonna say when Rose tells him. That's the end of the one episode.
So you don't,
right?
I don't think you hear her say it. Do
No,
you?
she doesn't. She tells him, and we don't know what she told
Yes.
him, and then it
Yeah.
ends, and then he becomes like a hot mess in the season
Exactly.
finale.
So you have no idea why he's a hot mess.
Right. So like, I think I probably assumed it was something tied to his parents because that's what it makes it seem like. Because the whole thing is like, who are Raph's real parents, whatever.
A really anticlimactic. I really loved the sweet scene where Jane tells him right before the wedding with all the kids in bed when she's like, they found your parents, like they passed away, they owned a bakery or something. And he's like, a bakery? He's like, that's so normal. I love that. Like it's sad that they're dead, but I think he was just happy that they were just normal humans with normal lives and not the psychotic people that have been toxic in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of gigantic twists, the Rose as Sinrostro was excellent.
Oh my gosh.
What an awesome death too. The cement death is so cool.
Dude, everything about Rose, like when you find out when she first like hides her identity as somebody, the cop, right? That's where she comes back as first, the cop.
Yes.
And you're just like, what the fuck? And now you're just basically anyone. You can't trust any new characters because you're just like, is that fucking Rose?
It's a telenovela, so obviously the face stuff is just insane and implausible.
Yeah, the Scooby-Doo shit.
The very Scooby-Doo. I still loved it though. I mean, I didn't give a shit. I was taking it for what it was. The show is so incredibly meta too. That was one of my favorite things. Anthony Mendez, the narrator, would literally be like, say like, oh, that's such a telenovela trope. Like, what are you gonna do this next? And then all of a sudden they'd cut to a scene of somebody doing said trope, which is just so fucking funny.
My favorite with the narrator is just when he would get giddy.
Yeah,
Like
which is
him
giddy all the time.
Him giddy at just the little things where he's like, oh no, Jane, don't do that.
Him being Mateo is
So
the
good. I was
only
just gonna
weird
say
thing is that it's kind of creepy that the whole show is about sex, his
Yeah.
mom's sex life. But I mean, it's really
How I Met Your Mother is, if you really watch all like 9 seasons of How I Met Your Mother, it's a dad telling his kid about how he boned across New York City for
True.
7 years. Like,
true. I guess so. But yeah, I loved that, and I loved
know.
Glamour. Like I loved the whole thing, the whole wedding, the end wedding is.
The wedding, that's the series finale of friggin' Raph and Jane's wedding.
know.
It's like what I waited for this entire time as a team Raph.
Them sobbing through their vows and not being able to get through it, I was like, yeah, they're sobbing in real life. This is devastating for them to
Yeah.
get through. That was probably the easiest acting they've ever had to do because of
know.
how sad that would have been. I loved when Raph finally takes her back and the dance routine they do with the entire cast.
Oh,
It's-
yeah, yeah.
everyone's in it. Even Sophia Bush is in the dance
Yes.
because she's the Raph's ex-girlfriend
Did
at
you
the
tell
time.
me that Sophia Bush was going to make an appearance? Because I like somehow like I feel like I knew, but I'm like, how did
You
I
might
know
have
that?
just had it in your subconscious because you follow her on Instagram, I assume. She might have posted it.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't put it. I don't know. Maybe I actually think I'm thinking of when you told me that James Lafferty was in Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, probably.
So I'm just mixing up my Oath characters. But
My favorite cameo, and I freaked when this happened, was the Britney Spears episode.
Oh my
I
God.
thought that was so funny.
It was.
I made my mom rewind it. I was like, we got to watch that again because they just stomp in and they're like, and the fact that it's a Rogelio Britney feud is just even funnier. He's so absurd.
I know. The one like twist also that I just like that killed me. I think it was actually season 5 is when Jane and Petra get back together. And the twins like fake that a murderer is in the house.
They're scheming, baby.
The twins are the best.
Yeah. I didn't know why they were doing it, and then I understood that they saw Milos.
Oh my God. He kept coming back too.
The twins I liked both times. I liked them when they were like the absolute perfect children, and then I also liked them when they were like the most conniving. I could not deal with Matteo during
Your name is Matt, and you can't say Matteo.
Matteo. You gave me a look where I'm like, am I saying the wrong name?
No, I was just looking.
I can't deal with him when he's like terrible twos Matteo.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's tough.
Like I was just like, oh, this is all the reasons why I never want to have a child.
Yeah, he's brutal when he's a little kid.
I know, but you
just feel for Jane. Like you're like, oh God, she's like Petra's kids are just perfect. Like Petra is so insane that she just makes these perfect children. And then Matteo is just off the freaking walls. Like he's karate chopping cakes like at birthday parties. Like he's just insane.
I love the episode where Jane like starts babysitting the twins, and it's just all of the like, okay, well I won't tell like the deceit of her like not wanting to tell things to Petra but feeling like she has to tell things to Petra, and Petra just like not understanding the concept of like, okay, well this happened but don't say anything because we really had a breakthrough, and then they show up and they're like, you narc.
Yeah, they're like lame Jane. They're so funny.
Oh, the twins are the best.
I have so many like cry moments that I was thinking about on my car ride home. So Matteo reading Jane's novel out loud, I cried. Alba's citizenship, cried. Jane getting the $500,000 for that book when they're getting the deals on the phone.
Yeah.
My heart was beating out of my chest, just the pure excitement of like watching this and wanting her to, because I was really sad. I think this was unnecessary that Rogelio like basically paid for the first book to be published.
Know.
That made me sad.
It made me mad. I was like, I would be so
I was
pissed.
like, fuck, he really took that.
Yeah.
Like, Rogelio went over the top all the time, and it's because he wasn't there for the first 22 years of her life, whatever. He wants to make everything perfect for her. But I was like, Rogelio, bro.
You fucked up.
You fucked up there because previously when Jane was writing the telenovela for Rogelio and they were pitching it and then they would do the dances together that they would make up and Jane's like, we would have been here 20 minutes earlier, but he made me memorize this dance before we came in. Like, Rogelio is so extra and perfect. I loved Rogelio and Zoe's wedding where Jane is like, they're not here because they're meant to be. They're here because they chose each other. And I'm like, you're kidding. Especially because James says that they're not meant to be. And Rogelio and Zoe are like, where is this speech going? I love a good wedding. I always cry at weddings.
Dude,
too.
stop. Weddings hit different. Even television weddings. Like I cried at Jane the Virgin at her wedding. I didn't cry at her and Michael's wedding.
I cried when Michael does the vows in Spanish and Alba gives him the nod because they had been she'd been teaching him like behind Jane's back is the sweetest gesture of all fucking time. And I loved go have sex, Jane. It's so funny. Everything is just the emotions. It's like 1 second I'm sobbing and the next second I'm cracking the fuck up.
Yeah. They do that with the abuela too, don't they?
They
Go
do
have sex.
Yeah. Well, when Jane and Michael finally bang and they have that like full animation of just like them riding like a rocket ship through everything, I'm like, this show is just trying to one up itself so much. But also Jane reading what Alba wrote for Zoe's baptism, and then Zoe read it at Jane's, and now Jane's reading it at Mateo's. I loved that part. That was really sweet.
Yeah.
Two things that I completely forgot to bring up. A, I love that the twins are named Anna and Elsa, and that just keeps coming up so much.
They're like, no one would get that but you, Jane.
Yeah.
And then I wrote down this line that I guess I said my favorite line in the show, and I forgot about it until I saw this text. But I keep no secrets from Charo.
Oh, I love that. It's so funny. Well, I like that she was in it.
Yeah.
Like the cast, Eva Longoria, the what's it called? Were incredible. The guest stars.
Yeah.
So good. Bruno Mars, and how did he not sing "I think I wanna marry you" at the wedding instead of whatever he sang?
Yeah, what did he sing?
Was it Grenade or...
Yeah, I think it was Grenade.
Yeah.
Like, it was weird. I thought
dumb.
the same thing. I was like, why, Bruno? And I ride for Bruno Mars, but...
So I think the scene that killed me the most was the narrator was hinting at Michael's death the whole season. He said Michael would love Jane until his dying breath. Like, kept saying it. And I'm like, why do you keep fucking saying that?
I didn't even catch on to that.
And so when Jane and Michael go through that whole carnival scene, which I loved, I thought that was so sweet. The parallels between their first date where Michael was really awkward, not wanting her to be hooking up with Sam or whatever, to them being like full on married, just laughing and so in love. I loved that. And then Michael's about to go take his test, and when Jane says, like, I am so proud of you, and the narrator just says, and Jane would replay that moment until it became a memory. And I was like, ugh. And then he dies. My fucking heart. I cannot. Was that not devastating to you?
No, it is. It is.
I couldn't wait for the rewatch to watch that again. I was like I could have just watched it again, and I'm like, I need the full 3 seasons to feel the weight of that moment. And Jane falling to her knees after she gets that call.
Oh, yeah.
I saw some back behind the scenes that Brett left her a voicemail prior that she listened to that was really sweet, and telling her how much he loved her before she was, and a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I love Brett Dyer, so I was really reading into all that stuff, and they were like, everyone was devastated when they read the script. Everyone loved him. They felt like they were losing an actual friend, like a death in the family.
Aww.
And then so the behind the scenes table read, there's a table read video. Nobody knew Brett was coming back for season 4, and they I think it was left out of the script at the table read, and then Jane was just she opens the door, and Gina read that, and then all of a sudden Brett walks in, and Justin Baldoni and Gina just tackle him, straight tackle him. Oh my god, it's really good.
Wait, you're saying actors' names? Who?
Justin is Raph.
And who is?
Gina is Jane.
Okay.
You have to see, if you haven't, either of you haven't seen it, Justin Baldoni is a 30-minute engagement video.
You did send it
I
to
sent
me.
it to you.
Mhm.
I mean, it's so he's a director. He did 5 Feet Apart.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he did 5 Feet Apart.
I didn't see
and
that.
fun fact, Jason, so Michael, when he comes back as Jason, Charlie, the girl from the neighboring farm that he ends up marrying, is his fiance in real life. And was at the time. They've been
they're
dating
separated?
for a long time. No. Wait, what?
Oh, I
Their
thought you
fian-
said what? I don't know what.
No, at the time,
Oh, gotcha.
for years they've been dating. It's not like they just started dating, so they cast her. But she's the star in 5 Feet Apart. I just like that he probably helped cast her.
I didn't even piece together
Wait,
that was the
hold
girl
on.
from 5 Feet Apart.
Hold on.
She's so good in 5 Feet Apart.
5
5 Feet Apart
Apart's
is
really
you would
good.
love it.
Is
Have
that
you
with
seen
Cole
it?
Sprouse?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Me and Stephanie saw it in theaters, and it was all teenage girls. And the whimpering when the
whole movie. Oh
Yes.
my god.
Don't tell me
when the
anything.
screen
Don't
goes
spoil.
black, everyone's just, including me and Stephanie, were
Yeah.
just wiping our faces, and me and Stephanie were laughing so hard because we're like, this is psychotic.
That was me and my friend Crystal. We were like, I can't. And we read the book beforehand to prepare ourselves, and we still weren't prepared for how
It's
much
so
it made
good.
us feel
love
emotions.
A good
It's free on
crying
demand.
freaking movie. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
When I saw Me Before You, I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, I loved that one.
I
That's
was
big sobbing.
So
Me Before You is with Daenerys.
yes.
Yeah.
So me and my mom watched that. I was sobbing so hard to the point where I lived at home still, and I was going to the bathroom after we watched the movie. And my mom, we're a very open family. I'm peeing on the toilet. My mom walks in and starts brushing her teeth.
Yeah.
And I'm still hyperventilating on the toilet. I was I'm not okay. It's movies.
I do that
hit
too.
me fucking hard sometimes, where I'm just I'm so
You're gonna
upset
love
with
this
how
movie.
that ended that I am not going to be okay for a while.
Speaking of good cries, because I just finished skimming through text messages for extra notes. Favorite episode of the show, and one that I was just sobbing the whole time watching it, and I think it's one of the best B plots in a show I've ever seen is the Tooth Fairy episode that
love when
coincides
Petra does
with Zoe finding out if she has cancer or not. Like the heaviness of that whole episode and like juggling the comedy of the Tooth Fairy stuff with like the heaviness of like waiting for those results from Zoe is just like soul crushing.
I know. And just like
When Petra realizes that it's
everything.
not like that
I
Jane's
love
not
that.
upset
Yeah.
about what she thinks she's upset. Like, oh, it's so good.
And just like the whole thing with like where Zoe's sick, like all those episodes, they just make her look so, it's real. Like it
Yeah.
just, everything feels so real. They literally make it look like this woman is going through chemo, that she's dealing with everything going on. And when I watched episode 99, the actress that plays Zoe said that was like her favorite thing of recording the
I think
entire
she did it so well.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
You really like, I actually felt like she was actually sick in real life. Like
know.
it was like it hit. And Zoe actually might be another one of my favorite characters because
They're all
she's
so good.
Yeah, there's not really a bad character
No,
in the show.
none.
She's the best. Zoe is like, she's another one that like grows so much. I feel like when they're showing past years when Jane's like a teenager and her mom's like embarrassing her because her mom's like in like slutty clothes and she's saying, does she sing Milkshake at the one part? What is she? Yeah. Is it Milkshake? She sings something.
She sings something very funny.
Yeah, like something that's like highly inappropriate but like
it
really
is
funny.
that.
And you just see how much like she's grown as a person and like the maturity, like she becomes Jane's mom at the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where like the whole season I feel like is like her growing more and more, becoming her mom.
I ordered a sticker off of Etsy for my mom. That's just the three of them sitting on the porch swing. Because the porch swing scenes are
Iconic.
Cry, sob, crying constantly. And we just love, anytime they're on the porch, it's going to be a really heartfelt conversation.
Yep.
And I love that. I'm pretty sure it's Michael says it at the end. He's like, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to sit outside with your mom on your porch or with your mom and Abuela on the porch. Like it's another thing I loved about Michael was that he knew exactly how to handle those three. He's like so involved where even when he was helping Raph learn how to get in with those three, Michael was flawless at it. Michael knew how to do it without having to learn how to do it. He just fit in.
And I think that's what I liked about Michael. Like to compare stuff to relate to like Julie's stuff, like with our family. You know what I mean? Like a real litmus test on if someone's going to work in our family is if they can figure out how to navigate our family. You know what I mean? Like if people,
very true.
like we've seen when people bring home someone where they just can't connect. They can't navigate the weirdness. They can't navigate the triggers, the things that make us laugh, the things that we think are funny. Like it's a minefield. So there's something special about people who learn that and know are in touch with that stuff.
Yeah, it's so true. Like when you're dating someone, you are dating their family.
Yep.
So if you can't like get over the fact that like you're a priority in this person's life, but their family is always going to be a high priority as well.
Yeah.
Like there's no like putting you before, like Kenya is so close with everyone in my family and I just like love that.
Him and I text about movies all the time.
Yeah,
now.
he like gets it. Like I feel like we have like family parties all the time and like he'll make comments like, dude, you guys have family parties all the fucking time, but like he still like goes, he talks to people. Like it really does make such a difference if like you're dating someone and they can't learn to love your family as much as you do.
I'm never worried about my family. My family's very fun and so outgoing and wacky that the minute like my ex would come, they would just like envelop him. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't like I'm worried more about my boyfriend than my family. My family is like really easy to get along. So it would be weird for me to date someone whose family you don't like or something like that. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved Michael, obviously, Team Michael forever. But Raph, I loved the episode where the narrator's literally like, there were 3 times where Raph like talked Jane. I forget what it was, but it was the 3 times he says, be brave. He says, you got to be brave. It's the one.
The very first time.
Yeah, the very first time. Then there's where she's going away to visit Michael's mom and show her the pages for Snow Falling, and Michael's mom like trashes it and is like, I don't want you to write this book. And Raph gives it to her. He says, be brave. Then it's when she's going up to read her snow falling when it's getting published, and she's like, I can't do this, and he's like, turn your ass around, like tough loving her. When he says be brave, I'm like, it's so sweet. And I'll tell you, by the end, I am Team Raph by the end. I mean, I'm not Team Jason at all. Like when Michael got his memories back, even then I was like, no. Sometimes you can't. There's so many years, and I love that sequence of Jane each year going back to the grave and getting a little more, less cryy and more just talking with this big smile on her face about Michael. I mean, I thought that was so powerful, and grief is such a crazy fucking thing that seeing someone who's so devastated just go through the motions and like talking to Mateo about it and being like, you got to talk about them so their memory stays alive. I was like, fuck, man, I'm crying in the club.
Yeah. I think also what I liked is someone that is Team Raph. When Michael comes back, or Jason, us Team Raffers are like, fuck.
I know.
Like, here we go. Like, we were so
That's
close.
how you know that these are two good opponents. Like, they can match up with each other. It's not like everybody wants Raph or everybody wants Michael. That is really well done. It's very hard for someone to not make one shitty.
Well, I mean, it seemed like 70% of people that you know wanted Team Raph.
Well, so
I think those are shallow ass people who are picking the hot boy.
So being a Team Raffer, when this happens, like, you're just like, shit. And you actually feel for Raph, right? Because he's like, basically like, fuck, he's back. You picked him last time. Like, I know that you'll always love him more than me. That's like basically how his mind is. So when Jane does end up picking Raph, and they go through having the conversation of how they'll always love each other, but it's so different now. Like, it's like I think they even say like it's in the past, like it's the past. Like we can't relive the past or whatever. And I actually liked that, because I feel like any other time before Michael died, it was always like a given that it would be Team Michael. It's like no matter what, she's going back to fucking Michael. So
she is.
So
doesn't that tell you something? Jewels?
It's so weird though, because when you're binging it, it's like Michael's been dead for like a week or two, but like in the show it was a year almost, but then like
it flashes forward 3 years.
I was gonna say you have to factor in the flash forward, which is like such a dramatic it's not like, oh, Michael was dead for a few months.
Okay,
like,
we must talk about my favorite thing of the entire
the tracking
show.
shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about Emmy snub. Emmy fucking snubbed Gina Rodriguez. So Season 5, Episode 1, the premiere of Season 5, Gina Rodriguez directed it, which makes it even more incredible. She has a 7-minute monologue, and I can remember watching it with my mom and being like, wait, this has been going on for minutes. Because when you're first watching it, you wouldn't be able to tell that it's a 7-minute monologue until it just keeps going. She is laughing, she's crying, she's eating arepas, she's laying on the counter, she's answering the door, she's going in the back, all while it's the shot starts with Zoe going, are you okay? And Jane talks for 7 minutes straight without either of those two saying fucking anything, and she directed herself. She is manic, absolutely manic. And now the best part about it was, so they do it all in one take. They did it and they took 4 tries at it. That's it. And they blocked 5 hours for the day to try and get the shot, and they nailed it in 90 minutes.
Damn.
And I read this whole article on it because I was like really hyped up. I mean, you couldn't hype me up at the time I was watching this. I was dead inside, and this scene hyped me up. I was like, that was such incredible acting. It was just so back and forth. I read this whole article on it that she was at the table read, and someone bet her, like one of the random crew guys bet her $100 that she couldn't like memorize it and do it at the table read. So nobody knew she was going to do it. And without any script or anything, she did the whole scene uninterrupted, memorized it, and was like, instead of the arepa, she was like smashing cupcakes in her face because that's what she had in front of everyone. Was just so wowed by her. Was like, holy shit. Because you're always, the table read, you're reading the script. You're not memorizing it yet. But she said that it was 7 minutes full of like a full monologue. And she said, it wasn't hard to memorize because I know the story so well.
Yeah.
But it's devastating. I mean, when she's saying like, when I go to the doctors, what do I check off? Married or widow? Like, I'm like, oh my God. But the saddest part for me, can you tell how hyped up I am?
Yes.
Is when she goes, he smells just like Michael. And I was like, that shot me in the heart because I love that. I love the idea of like, I have so many friends where their smell like means something to me. It's like weird, but I do. Like I always say it to Bridget every time I hug her. I'm like, God, you smell like you. I love that. I love the certain smells of people. And I was like, fuck, that really just like stabbed me in the heart.
Yeah, that scene is actually, I remember watching it being like, dude, this hasn't ended. This is like
it's
insane.
so long and there's no music behind it at all. It's just like a slow track. And then when she's like freaking out when the movers come because she's supposed to be fucking moving in with Raph and getting proposed to Raph, but except or like getting engaged to Raph, but she's like, oh no, my dead husband came back to life.
Yeah, I know. And it's
I'm winded. I'm sweating after talking about that.
It's so cool because it's so probably true of what you would be like. Putting yourself in your shoe, like her shoes there, it's like you've just lived, what do we want to say, like 5 years? Is that what the time
I think
gap?
it's
4 at least.
4.
Yeah. Thinking this person is dead, moving on with your
actively
life.
needing to move on.
Yeah, like, so it's just so crazy. Like, the way that she responded, I feel like it's like a fight or flight kind of thing where, like, she
doesn't know
both.
what to do.
Yeah, she's both. She's, like, fighting and flighting.
The best is, like, I don't know if this was scripted. I'm sure it's scripted. In the very beginning, she puts on tea, and at the end, she circles around. She's like, oh, I didn't turn it on. Didn't put any water in it either. Or, like, something like that. And I'm like, this is insane. And she's like, oh, my God, Abuela, did you make these arepas? They're so good. Like, she's freaking out. It's so funny. I remember my jaw was on the floor when I was watching that scene. I'm just like, I got a round of applause. It was incredible. There's not many times where I'm watching a scene and in the moment I realize how amazing it is. Like, especially something with like directing. I'm not like, I don't have that eyeball for directing as much as I would like to. With that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Something that I've learned with like film and TV is that we're so used to things cutting every couple seconds that we don't really think about the cuts, but it's when you like take away those cuts for an extended period of time, it's super noticeable to even someone who's like not someone who thinks about that stuff.
Yep. It's just like that Hill House episode that I was going to pick for mine, except I picked the pilot, but that Hill House episode is incredible too. And I mean, oh my God, I mean, in a 42-minute CW show, 7 minutes is a big chunk of time for all of it to just be Gina. And the show is so fast-paced that it's interesting and different to see the
scene. It's like a quarter of the episode.
Yeah.
Man, I love that. I don't know how I didn't bring that up first because I've been dying to talk about that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
My favorite, I don't know if I had a lot of favorite moments, but I loved Raph's second proposal. So...
Oh my God, when they're playing the game.
When they're playing the game, just because you do get like a little bit of foreshadow when he's like, I can promise you, you won't see it coming.
Yeah.
And then like, even as a watcher, like did not see that coming.
No, which is
not
crazy.
Not a fucking shot. So we obviously knew it was coming eventually, but obviously not at that point. Like they're all like game night, like blah, blah, blah. So you just think it's like a game night episode. And just like the way he did it was so cute with the mermaid and then the tree
and the ring.
God.
And she's like, anybody got the ring? Anybody got the ring? Like, she's like, I got the tree. I got the mermaid. She's so crazy. I love her.
She's like, damn, I don't have the ring. Does anyone have the ring?
Yeah. Oh, Raph.
Cutie pie.
I love him too. If Michael wasn't there, I'd be Team Raph.
Neither of them are like, oh my God, I fucking hate him.
No.
Like, they're both
there are definitely
so
times
likable, but to me, like, I feel like Michael would cringe me out. So like the stuff that you loved, like I was like, ugh. But I agree also that Raph would do stuff where I'm like, oh God, you're so drama. Like,
well, it's what ruins Raph for me and makes me permanently Team Michael was the first time he pushes her away felt forced. Like it felt like something that was just written in the script that maybe didn't flow. Like he loved her and he was like, I don't love you anymore. Like trying to push her away because he was having a dark, but that's not what you do. You don't. Yeah. And he was like, I lied. I never stopped loving you. And she's like, well, fuck off.
Yeah.
You broke my heart. Like, what do you want me to do now? How do you go back from that?
Yeah.
So that's a really tough thing to get through for me. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not like that. That's not something I would ever do. I'm honestly a little too selfish to be the person that's like, I'm going to push you away for your own good. Yeah. I don't know that I'm just like very passionate. I'm just like a very intense person. And I don't think I could do that. I would not connect with that. If someone did that to me, I'd be like, literally fuck off.
Yeah.
Like you love me too much so you're doing that? No. See ya.
It's true. That part sucked, but he did suffer for it, so he got his bad karma.
Truly. Wow, what a show.
I know. I feel like we could keep going, but this will end up being like a 4-hour episode.
I know. I feel like we didn't talk about like Rogelio and Zoe and Petra enough, but this whole cast, it's such an ensemble. Like you couldn't do it. I loved every time Petra was on screen. I loved it. Every time Rogelio was on screen, I loved it. Every time Zoe, every time Abuela, like there wasn't
so true.
ever a character where I was like, okay, beat it. Like I don't care about the storyline. I just loved it all.
You know what? The one character that I was kind of like that was what was Raph's sister's name?
I love Luisa. We didn't talk about Luisa once. Oh my God, I love her. I think she was such a weird contrast, especially to Raph. Like I think every time she was on screen, it was hilarious to me because she's she's doing ayahuasca and being a wacko, and I think she's so funny.
Yeah, no, I like her comeback, but at a certain point with her, I'm like I feel like maybe it's season 3 or something. Like she's just such like a hot mess, and I'm like, all right, enough, go.
When she's in the insane asylum with the woman who isn't speaking at all, and Luisa's just like spilling her guts to her, I'm like, this is comedy. Yeah. I really liked it. I mean, she's a huge part. She's the one who inseminates. And speaking of that, I told Matt this, but for your bridal shower, I really wanted to get you a turkey baster. It was on your registry, but it was all delivery and nothing was like open at the time, and all the Targets around that were actually open were not. Didn't have
so
it.
Annoyed.
I know, and I want it just like as a gag part of the gift or whatever. But I was like, it won't come in time. I thought of it like a week prior, and everything was like a 2-week ship. And I was like, fuck,
that would have been gold.
I know. It was right in the middle when you were watching it too, and I was like, I hate myself for not thinking of that earlier.
That's okay.
So really, the issue was that I didn't look at your registry until the last fucking second, and I was like that would have been good.
I'm the queen of that. The one time I actually had a bradle shower, like it was Saturday. I was like in my pajamas till like 12. I forget whose bridal shower it was, but like Steph texted me.
Get a gift, huh?
Yeah, like Steph texted me, or it was either Steph or Terry texted me and was like, "Hey, like, do you want to go together?"
To go together.
That's my Aneshka coming out.
And my beautiful sister.
They were like, "Do you want to go together to the bridal shower?" And I was like, "Fuck." I thought it was 2 weeks from now.
One day, Julie came down and was like, "Are you coming to my bridal shower?" And I was like, it was a Thursday, and I was like, the way she said it made it seem like it was on Sunday, and I was like, I mean, yes. When the fuck is it? I went to full panic mode. I think I lost all the color in my face, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, it's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was like, yes, of course I'm coming. I have to.
All right. Well, we could talk about Jane forever. Especially Kathleen.
I love it so much.
We might have to do a part 2 because I do kind of agree. Like, I want to talk more on Petra.
If anyone wants to come on and pick an episode, would love to do that.
Yeah.
If anyone has an episode they want to come on and do, come the fuck on. But this show means a lot to me. Like, really, it was exactly what I needed at the time. And it's like me and my mom's favorite new thing. And we quote it all the time. And it was like, now we have like all these inside jokes.
Aww.
Every weird one we did was every time they said Mateo, me and my mom would go, Mateo. Like, so stupid because the way they say it is so charming. Like, the way
Mateo?
She says it has,
Mateo.
yeah, which I love. We would like, they would say it and then we would repeat it back to the point where my mom, for my birthday, got me a wine glass. So my future sister-in-law has like a cricket, and she had her, and it just says Mateo, and on the back it says Abuela, because we used to do the same with Abuela. I just have a fucking wine glass that says Mateo and Abuela, and it's my favorite thing. If anybody ever saw it, they'd be like, why on earth? Because the way they said it, we just loved it and thought it was so charming. They would be like, Abuela, Mateo, like every single time. It was so funny. I just love you, Mom.
She's like, what are you doing, Mateo?
Yeah, Mateo.
Yeah,
I love it.
Love you, Mom.
Gina Rodriguez, you are my girl.
Yeah.
And I would be you in real life, IRL. Jane anyway. But Gina's pretty badass too.
Yeah. So everyone check it out because, like I said, we loved it. Obviously, we
I swear
feel
to God, if
passionate
anyone
about
listened
it.
to this episode who hadn't watched the show, I'm going to be pissed off.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I'm recommending it. Recky, I can't talk.
Why are you Recky? All right, bitches. Yeah. Matt, you got anything else?
No.
Okay, cool. Good app.
Good app.
Good app. Was
Good
that
app,
a good app?
mate.
Good app. Good app, mate. That was good.
This has been My Favorite Episode Of. My Favorite Episode Of is produced by Matt Kelly as part of the Geekscape Network and hosted by Julie and Kathleen. Check out our show notes for all of our socials and email us at myfavoriteepisodepodcast@gmail.com. Rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting apps, and we'll be back next week with another episode of My Favorite Episode of.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.